Well, thankfully, the Astros are on the road. They're not at home, and Justin Verlander returns. They've got a road trip versus the Washington Nationals, and they hope to go and get 3 games. Then they have a day off in Chicago. I've got Mike Stanton here. Of course, we're back to the bullpen. Let's get going right now.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat it low in the way, you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk it back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
That's right, everybody. We're back to the bullpen. It is Mike Stanton and myself. I'm H. Wellhouse. You can find me at H. Wellhouse on X, Instagram, at TikTok. You can find me at Back to the Bullpen on Instagram, on YouTube. And, you know, I'm always positive, always Strohs. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, on X. We are there. Mr. Mike Stanton, you were there at the stadium. You got to talk about the games, pre and post game, and man, 3 games that really could have gone the Astros' way. But before we get started on that, tell everybody where they can find you.
Mike Stanton 29 on X. You know, you can post something to me anytime. If I have time, I'll answer. Usually, if it's only about baseball, don't really send me anything kind of crazy. It's happened every once in a while.
I hear you. Yeah, Mike, what do you think about this? It's like, yeah, you want to stay out of the weeds.
Yeah, you're going to get crickets.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
It's one of my few talents.
Hey, one of your few. And, well, you know, Mike, before this show, you were actually telling me this, and I've just got to kind of put this out there because I was impressed. You are second all time in appearances in Major League Baseball history.
Yeah. Games played, pitchers, appearances.
So tell me, like, because a 19-year career, man, I mean, at the end of the 19 years, did it feel like it was the second most, or, you know, were you like, I want to keep going, but you knew it was time to like shut it down, or what? I mean,
no. The decision, this was not a decision I made. It was a decision made by, basically my left knee.
Ooh.
The arm, even to this day, my arm's fine. I don't have any aches and pains. Now, all the rest of my body, there's all kinds of aches and pains. I had somebody ask me, even tonight, I was like, the arm's doing great. Let's see. Lower back, hips, knees, right shoulder, not left shoulder, ankles. Yeah. All that done. But yeah. Right. So no, when it was all done, actually, to tell you the truth, I never officially retired. I never signed any paperwork. I just stopped playing. But yeah, I ended in 2007. I think the number is 1,174 games.
Wow.
About 70, maybe a little couple more than 70 short of Jesse Orosco.
That's impressive. And I mean, to hear the name like Jesse Orosco, you know how much that guy pitched. I mean, he pitched even 6 years longer than you, but you, I mean, you almost got that. That's impressive. And, you know, we will talk later on about back of the baseball card, because I think it means a little bit more when you're retired. But is it time to panic, Mike? I mean, the Astros had 3 winnable games against the Braves, and they got swept. They gave up 11 runs from the inning 8 on in those 3 games. They have the worst ERA from the 8th inning on than any team in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, is it time to panic?
Well, I mean, no, it's not. But even if we did say, yes, it's time to panic, it's time for, Armageddon, what good is that going to do?
Right.
I mean, you still have to remember, you're only 3 weeks into the season. And I know there's a lot of people even look at the division and go, okay, well, you're only a few games back in the division. That's all fine and good. But what the Astros need to do is they need to take care of their own situation. They need to mow their own yard. They need to rake their own leaves. And, that was a tough tough series, especially when you have games pulled out from under you, like the Braves did. I think the one thing that comes out of that series is that the Braves are very good. That is a well-rounded team. They have like 7 arms coming out of their bullpen.
Yeah.
That are, leverage type relievers. But, the other side of it is trying to find something positive, which you say you're always positive. The Astros were in every one of those ball games. 100%. Yeah, it never turned out the way they wanted to. The last couple innings was a little bit of a nightmare. But the rest of the game, the starting pitchers did very nice. I mean, Hunter Brown, my gosh, what a bounce back start he had. So there were plenty of positives. It's just sometimes it's hard to see the positives when you're not winning baseball games.
Yeah, exactly. You spoke right to the heart of the matter. You take out the 9th inning in the first 2 games, and both games go into extra innings.
Yeah.
You had the extra inning game where, you start Bregman on second. You're thinking, okay, I still hate the ghost runner rule. I hate the ghost runner.
I don't use that word very often. I don't use the word hate. I hate that rule. It's terrible. It's brutal. I argued when they were making this rule, they kind of were asking questions here and there.
Right.
I said, okay, I don't want it to ever happen. Okay. You play baseball until you have a winner and you play straight up. Right. But to me, if you're going to do it, I didn't think you could do it before the 12th inning. Okay. And the reason I say the 12th was because that's another third of the regular 9-inning game. So you give 3 more innings to try and have somebody win it. Okay, now. But to me, it was just Major League Baseball saying, okay, let's just end this freaking game as fast as we can.
Yeah. And, it's like I said to a friend, I said, but if I remember correctly, ghost runner, if I'm in the field, I always caught your ghost runner before you scored. But if I'm at the plate, you never caught my ghost runner. So don't call it a ghost runner because
that was the slang that we gave it because it was, most people inside the industry thought it was dumb, especially players thinks it's dumb. So, really it's, the unearned run, whatever it is.
In just, I don't want to camp out on this too much, but as a pitcher, let's say you come in, like you're starting the 10th. You already have a game plan, but you have to alter that because you've got someone behind you who's 2 base paths away from scoring. And that changes the whole dynamic of your relief pitching, especially if your relief pitching is depleted, the extra pressure. And to me, you're giving them something they did not earn. It's
right.
It's a lot like the strike or the ball that the batter either gets the extra strike or the pitcher gets the extra ball. I'm like, but they didn't earn it. You're just giving it to them. And that's the aspect of it I don't like.
Yeah. And listen, I mean, we've already seen it, tight races at the end of the season that are determined by, a game or two. And that's what, so really what you're doing is by, changing the rules and not playing straight up, you're dictating what's going to happen at the end of the season. And, when you look at this, it's kind of crazy that the Astros have been as good as they've been over the last couple of years because they've been terrible in extra innings. They're 6-17 in extra innings. They have been but you know what? They still win, make to the, get to the playoffs, and seemingly every single year they go to the ALCS.
Exactly. I want to tell the people real quick on our screen, if you're watching us, if you're listening, you've got to go to YouTube, subscribe to YouTube channel. There is a QR code you can buy. Now, my shirt that I'm wearing, Mike hasn't gotten his yet. Mike's got the G shirt, but Mike has got.
We know where I rank on this totem pole. He's wearing his, and I haven't gotten mine yet.
Well, you know what? I didn't think far enough in advance. When I got you a shirt, I didn't think for them to mail it to you. I just had them mail it to me, and I was like, "Oh, that's
might not." You know what? I might not wear it on one of our podcasts just so I can continue to say that you're the high and mighty here.
There you go. Yes. Yes. I'm kind of a big deal. Have you heard of me? Kind of like
just ask me.
Exactly. So Mike, I've got a shirt that Ram Shirts, our studio sponsor, sent me And this is the 2-color version of it, which
Right.
this is no longer available. This is an exclusive 1-of-1 shirt. It's an extra large shirt. I'm gonna post it on social media, and we're gonna do a little giveaway. So if you're listening, to look for the community tab on our page. All you got to do is all you have to do is subscribe and say I listen. Just type that in there, but make sure that if you win, you only have 24 hours to claim it, or it goes to the next person. But I'm going to put it up on our X account. I'm going to put it up on our Instagram account. So we're going to see how many people we can go for one shirt. And
Sweet.
You know what? I might be able to talk Mike Stanton into autographing a baseball.
Ooh.
So we
I don't know. I heard he's kind of hard to deal with.
I hear he's got a bad knee.
And back and hips. Just make the list.
Just age. So this comment back of the baseball card, Mike, bewilders me as a fan, because I understand the premises, and I understood it when I first heard it from Dana Brown. Well, then Joe Espada says it, and I'm just giving you the temperature of what I've seen the fan base say. They feel like it's a deflection. They feel like it's a poor defense. They feel like, well, they're just trying to protect their guy. And I don't know, maybe things get lost in translation, but like how do we see the Astros in fielding this? Because I don't think personally you can just go, you're not going to throw your guy under the bus.
Right.
You're not going to say, well, yeah, he's been, but I think there maybe should be some admission from the club to say, okay, look, Abreu's struggling. He hates it. We don't like it. We're trying to figure things out. If you look at his history, you know that he's got the ability to be an MVP, and that's what we're hoping we find and we get out of him. I think if you say something like that versus look at the back of his baseball card, maybe we're talking about semantics here, but what are your thoughts on this?
Well, they're basically saying the same thing. I mean, when you say back of the baseball card, what you're really saying is, what do we hear every manager? Joe Espada has said it many times. What are you looking for? Consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You love streaks, but the problem with streaks end. That's why you don't hear about winning streaks. You hear about winning series because that's consistent. And, even with the player, what are you looking for? You're looking for the same consistency. Well, guess what? There's no such thing as a guy that gets a hit every single night. Altuve has come pretty close, but you just don't have it. And, so you go, well, why don't you give up on this guy? And you say, well, because if you look at his history, this guy may be Alex Bregman, perennial slow starter. Okay. But you look at the back of the baseball card and the numbers usually work their way out. They usually, are in the same ballpark as what their averages are. So, it's a term that is used just to show, hey, he's a veteran player. He's been there. He's done it before. And, he's going to be fine. Now, does that always work out that way? Of course not. And, as fans, we look at this and we go, okay, why would he say that? Why is he protecting me? He's been so bad. That's his job. His job is to protect his players.
Right.
And, and if he wants to keep the clubhouse, and I'm talking about Joe Espada, then he's got to take up for his players, even if it's a situation that they shouldn't, which that is not the case, in my opinion, when we're talking about Abreu. The sample size is just too small. If they were winning a few more baseball games, we would still be talking about Abreu, but there wouldn't be near the venom just simply because, you're able to cover him because you're winning a few baseball games. But, so that's why he says it. Is he protecting him? Yes. And the other reason you say it is because you want to make sure that you show in the clubhouse, you show to the fan base, to the organization, that there is no panic. We're not panicking. Okay. This is a slow start. We've had a bad few weeks. It's okay. There's still a lot of baseball to be played. And, this should still be a very good team. And I think they're going to be where they want to be by the end of the season.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why I have optimism for this season is, number one, it's a very long season. Number two, you're taking a huge chunk out of your competition early on, which means the end of the season has got to be easier. I mean, it's really hard for a 162 game season, like every series throughout, from what, April all the way to September, everything's going to be difficult. If you have a very difficult schedule at the beginning, it typically pans out to where it gets easier as you get towards the end. And
it really depends, because it's spit out by a computer. I mean, you look at what the Astros did. Okay, the Yankees didn't make the playoff last year, but they're still the Yankees, and they're one of the best teams in Major League Baseball right now. You start off with them. Then the only other team that didn't make the playoffs were the Kansas City Royals, and they play like they should have. So they've had the most difficult of schedules here in 2024. Now, does that change? It does change. You have the Nationals, you have the Cubs, and you have the Rockies, but still major league clubs. But you feel better about going into this with the ability that this team has. Like I said, the Atlanta Braves, they outplayed the Astros. It happens. I mean, that's right. Why, they're on the very, very short list to go to the World Series from the National League.
Exactly. I mean, they are just, God, so much talent. I mean, just Ronald Acuna Jr. alone, bringing him to the stadium. I mean, he is what a superstar, what Major League Baseball wants. He's a good player. He plays with integrity. He's got good fan interaction. I mean, and he plays defense. The dude steals. He hits home runs. He does it all. He's a 5-tool player. So talking about Justin Verlander, last year he made his first start, I believe, May 15th with the Mets. I believe he struck out 5. I think he gave up like 3 runs, a couple walks. What will a successful start for Justin Verlander look like on Friday? Will it need to be something like what Hunter Brown did this last time out, or are we just looking at him to limit the runs, get a few strikeouts? If he gets in a tough situation, get out of it, stuff like that. What are you looking for if you're the pitching coach and Justin Verlander's getting his first start on the season?
First, health, that he gets through it healthy. The next day he feels, on Saturday, he feels fine. He's not overly sore. Because you remember, that's really what the setback in spring training was he wasn't bouncing back the way he expected himself to, the way he had in the past. Numbers wise, I don't really know. Of course, you would love him to have a quality start, which means 6 innings. I don't know if that's he should have the pitches, the number of the pitch count to get to 6 innings, especially if he is, he can keep that pitch count down. But to me, I think more than anything else, just having him there, even if he doesn't pitch well, I think just having JV at the top of your rotation, you're just that much closer, one step closer to being whole again. And I think that just him, the fanfare that's going to come with him being on the mound in the first inning, I think that's just going to be a big shot in the arm, regardless of how he pitches.
Yeah, definitely. And if you need a shot in the arm this season with your Astros gear or H-Town gear, you can get back to the bullpen shirt. Go to ramshirts.com. You come to you live from Ramshirt Studio every episode we have. And look, if you see us, go scan that QR code. You can buy a shirt, but you can also win the shirt that I've showed you. Go look for that. And then state-of-the-art barbershop. If you need to get your hair cut, you need to get your edge up, make things tight, looking good for the weekend, go to 1616 South Friendswood Drive. Our friends Ever Cruising Company at the state-of-the-art barbershop. They are the premier barbershop in the Bay Area here in Houston, just south of Houston, just a little bit. I mean, look, 25 minutes from Minute Maid Park. Why not come out and get a fresh cut? You got a cool sports atmosphere. They got some autographs there showing up. And I mean, it's just a neat place to get your hair cut. So yeah, check them out today. Mike, before we wrap it up, the last couple things I really want us to hit on is this lineup. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of talk. Do we still need to look at moving Yordan down to give him more opportunities for more RBIs rather than solo home runs? because if he was batting fourth and he hit that home run the other day, he's hitting, he's knocking in 2 or 3 runs versus 1 run. That is a thing. I know they moved Abreu all the way down to 8th. I know they didn't play him, but Dubon, does he need to try first base? Does he need to hit more consistently in this lineup? What kind of shuffling do you think needs to happen? Is this a decision that the Astros don't want to mess too much with it in the beginning because you just further disrupt chemistry, or where do we go as a club with this lineup?
Yeah. So we've used the word a couple times in this podcast, panic. Is it time to panic? The one thing that Joe Espada really wants to make sure is that he doesn't send a message of panic. And when you do major shuffling of the lineup, it can be construed that way. It can be taken that way. So you want to make sure that that is not the case. I understand the idea of moving Yordan down, especially if you have somebody that's been, like a Bregman, you put him back in front of Bregman. Maybe Bregman's on base in front of him.
Right.
But people need to understand why he's in the 2-hole. Okay. The data proves it every single year. The first 2 or 3 hitters in the lineup have more at-bats than anybody else on the team. And that's why he's there. You want Yordan Alvarez with as many at-bats as he can possibly get. That's why Altuve is, because we've seen Altuve hit in the 3-hole also.
Right.
So that's why those guys are up there. But is it at least worth a conversation to say, okay, if we move Yordan down, then, because you put him in the 3-hole, and if you don't get on base with the first 2 guys, now they can pitch around him because you have 2 outs in the first inning with nobody on. So there's so many different scenarios that they have to go through. They have to look at, and then just make the decision and go forward. We're still a little early before any major changes. I know they moved Abreu down, and I think that was as much for Abreu as it was for the rest of the team, just trying to give him a mental break, take a little bit of pressure off of him. So they did do that, but I don't see any major changes. Now, it could be completely wrong also, but I don't see any major changes only 3 weeks into the season.
Well, and I think, look, Singleton stepped up, and he did a decent job.
He's gotten a few base hits. I think he's hitting just under 260.
Yeah, that's a far cry from where he even was last year. And leadership in the clubhouse. We know that Maldonado was really that leader that year. Is there a way for a team to find their identity in the middle of the season where a player just kind of I don't say snaps out of it, but just steps up and says, you know what, I'm going to go to the ballpark today and I'm going to say some things and I'm just going to take the bull by the horns? And do they need that?
They do not. This is a veteran club. They've been there. They've done that. They've already got those guys on the team. Okay. So this is not a situation of a lack of leadership. This is a situation of lack of execution. They just have not played really good baseball, and they've played some very good teams here in the first 3 weeks of this season. So, yeah, those of us that have been there and done that, I've been on teams that have struggled early. I've been on teams that have gotten off hot, to hot starts. But, it's just too early. Now that we're fans, now we can panic. Because that's our prerogative, fan being short for fanatic. Right. So yeah, I don't think we're there yet. I think they have to figure out, win a few baseball games, take a little pressure off of each other, listen, there's more pressure playing at home. And that's not just for the Astros. This is any team across the board. When you're playing at home, you're expected to win. There are situations that are pulling from you from all different angles. Now they get on the road. Now they can, it's one of the reasons I think that they left last night and had the off day, a full off day today without travel, is so that they could just relax, give themselves a mental break. Because, even if this team does look flat, and at times they've looked flat, that's not the case. They are grinding as hard as they possibly can. They may be grinding too hard. And that's why you need that mental break. Come to the ballpark tomorrow, get your work in. Hey, go out there and have fun and win a baseball game.
Yeah, I was trying to tell some of my audience on Locked On Astros, like, if you think you're upset at Jose Abreu's lack of production, imagine how he feels. This is a former MVP.
No doubt. Yeah, no, I listen, I played in the toughest media market in the world in New York. And I played for both. I played there for 9 years. Most of it with the Yankees, but then with the Mets also. Now, the media was a little different. That's a story for another time. But I can tell you this. One of the reasons why I was able to succeed, because they weren't going to say anything harsher than I was going to say to myself. And so, these guys are grinding it out every at bat. They're like I said, they're probably grinding too hard. Abreu, you think, Abreu's a laid back dude, man. You don't see him get excited. You don't see him throw the bat. That doesn't mean that he's not, a duck on water in his head, that he's cool and calm on the outside. But hey, it doesn't matter how much success you've had. That confidence can go away. And that's kind of what happened. And that's why he was moved down, not as punishment, right? But just trying to take a little bit of pressure off him. And, because then listen, all it's going to take is a couple base hits. He gets a couple of bits, couple quality at bats. Now all of a sudden he calms down, confidence grows a little bit. And what does that lead to? Well, more quality at bats.
Exactly. And that's what they need. And Bregman said it this year. Last year I had the honor of talking to him at a Cane's restaurant, and we were, asked him, like, what is going to be the key for y'all to make another run at the World Series? And he said, it's just going to come down to execution. And at the end of the season, everybody's gunning for the same thing. And if we execute better than the other team, then it typically works out in our favor. And that is correct. That is a thing that, I've never lost faith in this team, but I know that I haven't seen a slow start like this, because this is their worst start. I mean, I haven't seen a slow start like this since 2016. But I'll tell you this, Fangraphs still has the Astros and the Mariners ending in a tie with 84 wins at the end of the season. They have them with 84 wins, and it looks like they've got the American League East set up to where they would get almost 4 teams in, 1 team from the Central and 1 team from the West. And if the Astros can beat that tiebreaker, let me tell you, I think this year more than anything, the games against the Mariners will have super big importance.
Sure. So. Mariners are always a concern. And, yes, they have J-Rod, tremendous player. But the biggest reason why, man, they can pitch. They have some, especially in the rotation, they have some serious arms in that rotation. So if they can ever score a few runs for them, they could be dangerous.
Yeah, that's right. They got former single season ERA relief pitcher record holder with 1.15 with Stanek. Stanek already has 2 saves there in Seattle. And so, they're really missing those 200 innings. But hey, Mike, this has been a great show. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and we think your back and your knee and your hip being here. But seriously, man,
I'm gonna go take a cold bath right now to kind of just ice everything. No, just kidding.
Well, hey, just so you know, because we're back to the bullpen, we both take ice baths after the show. Not really, but
not together.
No. No, he's north side of town. I'm south side of town. Yes, sir.
Just want to make sure people understand.
That's right. But hey, for me, for H. Wellhouse, for Mike Stanton, this has been another great back to the bullpen session. Y'all have a good one, and go Stros.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. It's in your wheelhouse, we'll swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat a low in the way you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike 2, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike 3, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walking back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the